Welcome everyone to the Wake Up Call channel. The lack of discernment that we're seeing right now is obviously frightening. But the mind control that is working on our fellow brothers and sisters in Christ is just as equally frightening, especially since most people out there can't see it. Now, these are the same people who will look at a lot of the stuff that people like me produce and say that there is an evil cabal. These are the same people who think that they're awake and think that they understand the deep state, even though the thing that they're following called QAnon is a production of the deep state. It is a gatekeeping mechanism of the deep state so that these people don't wake up to the true people who are behind all of these things and actually get in bed with the devil himself, which is what the Republican Party is doing to fellow Christians all around the earth right now. And I'm making this video in hopes that it helps you wake up people around you, because mind control is real. Once you realize that it's real, once you realize that repetition is the key to mind control, once I show you all of this, my hope is that a light bulb goes off in people's heads and they understand what it means to be worked. Now remember, conservatives call the media the enemy of the state. But right now, the media is playing right into their hands and they don't even see what the media is doing. Now, all of this stuff with Trump's assassination is pretty funny to me that people out there are acting shocked. Those of you who have subscribed to my channel for a long time, even those of you who have subscribed in the last couple of weeks, have seen the dozens of videos I put out about the predictive programming with a Trump assassination attempt. I've said from the get-go it would be a faked assassination attempt. I am not a prophet. I don't claim to be a prophet. I have not been given a vision from God like these other people on YouTube claim. But apparently, Christians have become so gullible that they believe that people recording in their basement or in their living room saying things that just come into their head are prophecies from God. And we've seen over the last few days a lot of Christian pastors and ministers coming out, even talking about a guy who claimed in March to have a vision and a prophecy from God that Trump would be shot. Well, guess where this all came from? This all came from what is called predictive programming. They have been telling you over the years that Donald Trump is going to have an assassination attempt on his life. In the video that I've played many times, the compilation of clips, Donald Trump playing the character of Martin Sheen from The Dead Zone, all of the clips of celebrities talking about killing Trump, all of the mainstream media talking about how Donald Trump would be better off dead because he's a threat to democracy. None of these people seem to understand that they've been programmed into this. So for those of you that haven't seen how this works, let me show it to you quickly. Let me start here with the Republican National Convention so you can see the truth right in front of your faces. The Republicans are on stage for this entire day talking about the notion of making America wealthy again. And again, they're pandering to Christians who should not be seeking wealth. But this is what they're talking about, right? Right behind them, while they're all talking, is what? It's the pyramid. And the capstone on the pyramid is not being shown, the all-seeing eye of Lucifer, because it's replaced by all of these Republicans on the monitor, on the screen, deliberately, who are going on screen and serving as that capstone. So instead of seeing Lucifer's all-seeing eye, which we see on the back of the dollar bill, you're seeing every one of these Republicans put on a monitor right above where the capstone would normally be. And of course, what is on the screen behind all of these conservative Christians who are up there pandering to Christians, deceiving Christians? It says, a new order of the ages. That's what that means on the back of the dollar bill, which you could see right on the screen. Novus Ordo Seclorum, which most people out there will never take the time to actually research what it means, but a new order of the ages, as in a new world order of the ages is born. And this is occurring right in front of the faces of all of these conservatives who claim to be Christian, who refuse to believe that they're being deceived. But the Bible warns us about deception many times. Matthew chapter 24, verse 24. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Most of you out there have seen this clip, and I know most conservatives have, because for years now, conservatives have started to slowly wake up, but they don't realize they're being gatekept by the alt-right media. They've woken up to the dangers of state-run media, which is all of media, which includes Fox News, right? We've all seen this clip from the Sinclair Broadcasting Group, right? And every Christian and every conservative that has seen this has said to themselves, look at this. They're all reading from the same script. This is mind control, right? Look at this clip.
Sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Well, that is mind control. That's how it works, right? That is the key to mind control, repetition. That is why you go through school for so many years. Nobody asks why they go to school for so many years to learn the same stuff. Because the repetition, by the time you're 20, has been put into your head to believe in a false history of the world. Things like fake moon landings, fake histories of what's happened in wars. That's done by design. So by the time you're 20, your brain is already not taking in the information it used to take in at a young age, where it's learning about things, it's learning about the world, its perception of the world. They take control of it at a young age. Then by the time you're 20 and they unleash you out into the public, you believe in the lies that they've trained you to believe year after year after year. So we can all look at the Sinclair Broadcasting clip. Pretty much every single person can look at it and roll their eyes and say it's cringy, right? That every single local news market is reading off of the same script. But why is it that Christians can't see that they're being deceived as well? Why is it that they can't see that the conservative media, especially 48 hours after Donald Trump's scripted assassination attempt, is luring them into a deception? Listen to all of these conservatives talking over and over and over again. And the key terms that they use are just like the Sinclair Broadcasting Group, right? Donald Trump was chosen by God. Divine intervention. God stepped in to save America because Donald Trump is the only one to save America. This is propaganda 101. And the fact that Christians are falling for this is frightening. Look at this compilation of clips just from the last 2 days. The last 2 days. This is how many of the same talking points are out there.
The devil came to Pennsylvania holding a rifle, but an American lion got back up on his feet and he roared.
You don't get slight grazes to the ear. I mean, that is divine intervention, that he was not, mortally wounded.
Fate stepped in, God, the hand of God, call it whatever you like.
Evil came for the man we admire and love. I thank God that his hand was on President Trump.
The fact that this is about milliseconds and millimeters that changes this from being an attempt and an assassination should really talk about the divine intervention that has occurred here.
Trump is truly blessed by the hand of God being able to evade being assassinated.
And we thank him for protecting our next president, Donald J. Trump.
It was a clear assassination attempt. I think there was maybe some divine intervention.
If you didn't believe in miracles before Saturday, you better be believing right now.
It was God alone who prevented the unthinkable from happening.
So that was truly divine intervention as far as I'm concerned.
It's having everybody on the internet saying this is divine intervention. Every frame of the attempted assassination is nothing short of proof that it was divine intervention.
We mistaken on President Trump. God must have been watching down on the president.
I personally believe that God intervened today, not just on behalf of President Trump, but on behalf of our country.
I'll say that, in my opinion, probably the most famous NFL catch in history is called the Immaculate Reception. I call this the Immaculate Protection. I believe that there was divine intervention to make sure nothing happened to this man. It's extraordinary.
But let's just be real. Donald Trump is anointed by God. Whether you believe in God or not, he had a divine intervention that saved his life. And you can call me crazy, but I think that's the only thing that truly saved Donald Trump And now he's going to have more support than he's ever had.
Willie, you're right. He's been posting on his Truth Social account. Here's his latest post. It came in just moments ago. Thank you to everyone for your thoughts and prayers yesterday. It was God alone, he said, who prevented the unthinkable from happening. We will fear not, but instead remain resilient in our faith and defiant in the face of wickedness.
Well, when God shows up that clearly, it's hard for even the biggest detractors to deny it. They go, what did I just watch? You just watched God turn Donald Trump's head, literally. We all just watched it. I mean, think about God making his presence known. I mean, on the biggest possible story you ever could. Now you've got people going, okay, I believe it. I believe it. Because how do you deny that?
And again, that right there is a pattern that you're seeing, right? You're hearing people in the crowd, they're roaring, they're screaming, they're somehow correlating Jesus Christ with Donald Trump. And they think that an event like that occurs could not be staged or rigged or fictionalized, when in fact the news itself is fake. And these are the same people who call the news fake, right? They say that it's fake, but then when they see something acted out in front of them, they don't realize that the news is fake and scripted, and it doesn't just include people's opinions and talking points on television. It includes all of the stuff that they do in front of green screens that they show us, including wars, and it includes staging events like that. So people go, how do you stage something like that? They don't even think for 5 seconds what the FBI and the CIA actually do and what your tax money goes towards. It's very easy to stage something like that. You're already under hypnosis when you're watching television, and you're also automatically perceiving what you're seeing as happening in real time, in reality, as if the TV itself is your own actual eyeballs. So why is it hard to put people in place to stage an actual fake shooting event? Now, does that mean that people aren't shot? Of course not. Of course people can be shot, but they're not shot by who they say they're shot by. There's gonna be people caught in the line of fire, as the saying goes. There were people caught in the line of fire on the 11th day of September, were there not? There's always people caught in the line of fire. That's what makes people's minds not able to accept when you say something is staged, because they hear the word staged and then they think that everybody in the background is an actor, that everybody involved is an actor, and everything here is an actor, and this and that. But what about the victim? Well, of course there's a victim, because the victim makes you think, then how could it be staged? Well, this is how it works. When the government puts a sniper in place and there's real people who show up at an event like this, somebody's going to be a casualty most of the time. It happens in a lot of these staged events that happen in schools, in grocery stores. Sometimes there's real victims, and it happens to real victims. Manchurian candidates are real. Mind control is real. And I'm going to play for you this clip of a Catholic Jesuit pastor that they bring out on stage, as you'll hear the crowd chanting, "We love Trump." And you can see how this hypnosis is enhanced after this staged event. Because if you can't understand why they would stage something like that, then you're not paying attention. Because the more support that these characters get, the more invested you get in them, the more you're going to fall for the deception. And the deception is going to be something that you think you're freely making the decision to do because you're so invested emotionally in this. Nobody out there knows Donald Trump. Nobody out there has met Donald Trump, other than maybe if some of the people out there have shook his hand as he's walked by. But all of these people think, because of the hypnosis they're under, that Donald Trump is a member of their family, that Donald Trump is anointed by God, all through mind control. And somehow they believe they are independently making these decisions on their own, not realizing that the repetition that they're seeing is making them go out there and repeat these talking points, right? They tell a friend and they tell a friend and so on. And how many people out there have you heard in the last couple of days use this same line? Divine intervention, God save Trump, pray for Trump's family. All these things they're putting into your head. And the same mainstream media that all these people were condemning for years and years and years are doing the same thing to them. CNN's doing it, NBC's doing it, and they're not suspicious at all. They're going, well, they're doing the right thing finally because, you know, it got too serious. But for years they've been calling for his head. Now, let me play this Jesuit pastor who comes out because, of course, he's laughing and mocking prayer as everybody in the crowd laughs because he's mocking how Trump talks and about blessings. But even he comes out and tells everybody out there that God intervened. And this is how deception works because people see him. They say he's a preacher, he's a priest. He's talking about how God intervened. God must have intervened because that's how easy it is these days to manipulate
Chairman
people.
Michael Whatley. And if I may, before the benediction, give you this promise. You're going to be so blessed. You're going to be tired of being blessed. I guarantee it. We give thanks to you for keeping President Trump safe. We pray for the families of those affected by the demonic violence at the rally on Saturday. And we pray you would send your holy angels to guard and keep President Trump from all harm and danger.
And again, one of the most telling things that I've shown that everybody out there has heard, they don't even realize it. When Trump is reading the poem about the snake, he's talking about himself. That's who Trump is talking about. And it's coming. The deception is coming. And think about the hypnosis and how it's working and how all of these people have listen to Donald Trump say this, and they don't realize that he's talking about himself.
I have saved you, cried the woman, and you've bitten me, heavens why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Oh, shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
So it's incredible that people can hear him use this poem over and over and over again and not correlate it with himself being the snake from the beginning. Himself, because of the fruits that he's shown over the years, his flip-flopping in politics. They chose Donald Trump because they knew that they could use somebody like him because of how good he is on the microphone, because he'll be able to act out the things that we're all feeling about what the government is currently doing. And people go, well, what does this mean? What am I supposed to do? I got to vote for him versus the other guy. You're in a simulation. Your vote doesn't count. The news is not real. And they're trying to get you more invested in this simulation so that you do as you're told after the November 5th election occurs, which is not a real election. They're going to tell you that it's rigged when they rig this thing come November 5th. And it's looking more and more obvious to me that they're going to put Joe Biden back in, and everybody out there is going to have enough because they're not going to believe it. Because the narrative that they're pushing, which I'll cover in a separate video, is that there's no chance that Joe Biden has, which tells you there is a chance because order out of chaos is the motto of all of these people. So for everybody out there that's wondering and not understanding, because people have been commenting about how do they network this? How do they stage this? How do you not think that they staged this? I mean, think about how easy. These are the same people who think that January 6th was staged, right? The conservatives, they all believe it was staged. They say the government set it up. It was, they put black ops there. The CIA was there. Everybody who's a conservative says that. So why would they not be able to stage this? Oh, you don't want to believe it's staged because you're emotionally invested in this and you refuse to pull out of this psychological operation that you're in. But it's not too late to pull out of it. So then they say, well, if it's staged, what about the person that died? Well, again, people are caught in the line of fire. Now, do we know if somebody really died? Of course not. I guess these are the same people that believe the events at the Hook at Sandy and those types of things are actually real too. It's very easy to deceive people by showing a picture on a hypnosis box called a television and tell you that this person was killed and this was what happened to them, and they photoshopped children into the pictures, all the stuff we saw at the Hook at Sandy with the technology that the government has that you don't even know about. Very easy to fake pictures, You've seen the deep fakes that are out there? It's very easy to deceive if you believe in the box or you believe in the device that you're watching the deception come from. Don't forget that Satan is the prince of the power of the air. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 2. Wherein in times past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. What an important verse that you never hear anybody actually break down. Well, what is the television known as? What are all these devices like the phone, the cell phone? What are they all working through? The air, right? Airwaves. Isn't that what they openly tell you that the television is? The airwaves? What do you think they're deceiving you with? When the Bible talks about all of these deceptions, like in the verse I read earlier in the video, when the Bible is talking about in Matthew chapter 24, verse 24, for there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So you see it playing out in front of you, right? Who in the world do you think a false Christ or a false prophet would be? Do you think it's going to be, I've had people comment like, how do we know you're not a false prophet? Oh, I don't know. A lowly YouTuber who's been removed over 80 times, who has a small audience. How would I be a prophet? I'm not propped up. Nobody knows who I am. Who better to be a false prophet and a false Christ than somebody that literally Christians are now comparing to Jesus himself, which they've been doing over the last couple of years, and now more than ever after this fake attempt on his life, if he didn't turn his head. Oh yeah. How convenient that we have photographs of a bullet in the air. Those are pretty rare to come by. It's a miraculous photo, right? That can't be photoshopped. We have to trust the photographer because he's showing up on all the news stations, a New York Times photographer, that we're all supposed to trust and believe that it wasn't photoshopped at all. It's the real picture, right? Because it's easy to deceive people who want to be deceived. They want to believe this. They're putting their hope in this man because everything around us is so bad right now. And they don't realize that God tells us that things are going to be bad, and he calls on us to endure. He doesn't call on us to believe in false prophets and false Christs. And the media and the church, they're showing their fruits now. It doesn't mean that every pastor that's falling for this is a deceiver. A lot of them are falling for deception because they don't have good discernment of the world. I've seen clips of ministers and pastors over the last 24 to 48 hours that say if you don't say that this is divine intervention, then you don't know God or understand God. And that's how bad the hypnosis is. And you go through the comment section and these people are just pray for Trump, prayers for Trump, God save Trump. This man's going to save us. And they don't even realize the Bible verses that talk about them putting faith and hope in man, right? In Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 5, this is what the Lord says. Cursed is the one who trusts in man, who depends on flesh for his strength, and whose heart turns away from the Lord. And most of these Christians will say, well, I'm not turning my heart away from the Lord. And they don't even realize that right now they are idol worshiping. That's what they're looking at Trump as, an idol. And all these things that they're pretending to do to Trump, like I've talked about over the years, a fake trial. These are all things to victimize him, to build up credibility, to make you think he's not in the deep state. In fact, he is a chosen from God because he's being persecuted like God. This is basic mind control. And if you're deceived by it, you must be deceived by things like the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny still. It's so easy to see. And the assassination, which I've talked about for years, and I'm not looking for a pat on the back for talking about it for years. I've shown you the repetition in the pattern because it's in front of us. And most of you have seen it as well. All of us on this channel have seen it for years because they've been telling us that this was coming. But instead of saying, wow, they've really been showing us this, telling us it's coming because it's called predictive programming, they want to believe that prophets who make thousands of predictions on YouTube, these people who make these, they make thousands and they're never held accountable. September 23rd is a rapture, nothing happens. The same people sit there and listen. The next year it's September 23rd again. Oh, it must be next year. Oh, it must be the next, right? These prophets make predictions every single day. I've heard these people like Julie Green. I mean, it's cringy and it's scary that Christians can be duped so easily. And I feel the frustration that everybody out there is feeling. I'm feeling it as well, watching what I'm seeing going on around me, because this should be the easiest thing for people to see, especially after what just happened. Because these are the same people who question the news, who call these events like school events in Tennessee, right? And question the validity of these things. That they won't question the validity of this, and they don't ask themselves why. They don't ask themselves why because they're caught up in the hysteria, in the hypnosis, and they don't want to believe that they are. Remember, I talked about narcissism and how social media has created this narcissism, giving everyone platforms, right? People posting their every decision, their every movement, their every meal on social media. People, once you're a narcissist, you don't want to admit to ever being wrong. That's part of being a narcissist. Narcissists don't admit to being wrong, right? People hear me and they're like, you're a narcissist. I'm not a narcissist. I'm wrong about stuff all the time. This stuff that I show you, I'm showing you the pattern. I'm showing you the signs and symbols. There's nothing to be wrong about it. They're revealing it and showing it. I'm not making prophecies. I'm not making declarations that God's coming on this day or this is that. I'm telling you, you should be able to see through the bull crap that the media feeds you. And for you not to be able to see that a billionaire like Donald Trump, who's in millions of photos with Jeffrey Epstein, that everybody out there dismisses, but then every person that they don't like Tom Hanks and all these other people who are on lists that the government gives out on purpose to gaslight, oh my goodness, oh, this person's that person's that, but not Donald, right? Not Donald. He could do no wrong. Even quotes out of his own mouth where he's saying that he's a chosen one from God. They're not even for 1 second saying, oh, I don't know about that. I don't like hearing that. Because they're not allowing themselves to wake up. They're putting their hope in man because of how bad this world is getting. And it's getting bad by design because Satan's minions are doing this and they're working together to deceive. And that means Republicans and Democrats working hand in hand. And if you don't know how this works, you could join the website Uprising Lives. I've covered this for years. All of my videos have been removed about Freemasonry, secret societies, right? Everyone's heard of Skull and Bones. Well, guess what? There's lots of them. Lock and Key, all these Ivy League schools that have secret societies. They don't understand how covens work, how most of these people are born into covens. They believe, but then they don't believe, right? They could hear that priest talk about demons and demonic, but then they don't believe that it's actually really like, well, I mean, I believe, but I don't literally believe. And you talk about, well, I mean, you don't literally believe in demons when the Bible talks about Jesus casting out demons out of people? How about the fact that secret societies exist and they go, well, I know that they exist, I think, right? But then they think it's nothing more than a frat. When you start figuring it out, you realize how easy it is for them to do what they're doing right now, right? Networking through secret societies, covens, and satanic cults are real. The cabal who's above them, who pulls their strings. It's an easy web to figure out if you will allow yourself to wake up to what's going on. And it's so sad to see how many people can be duped by such pathetic writing, such pathetic acting, and clearly something that's staged. But they literally are looking at this and like, look, they tried to kill him. He's got to, instead of going, oh man, that looked bad, that looked cheesy, that looked fake. What are the odds of that? Well, God, why do you think they're giving you the God intervened narrative? That a sniper who, by the way, like I've mentioned in the previous videos, and I'll stop rambling in a minute, but the guy looks like every other one of these Manchurian candidates, right? Looks like somebody who is completely, you know what, right? He's, it begins with an R, the word, right? Ends with arted, okay? They all look the same. And you think that guy was able to outsmart the government? That guy was able to shoot and snipe? I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. He was able to outsmart the Secret Service? No. He's your Manchurian candidate. He's your patsy that they put in place. They likely were shooting out of another tree at civilians to make it look like a real event so that people out there don't get suspicious of no bodies, etc., because they have to have something, and they know automatically if you say it's staged that people will say, well, what about the person that died? How is that staged? And they don't realize how the government works. They take casualties. They've been doing it for a long time. People died in Waco. People died at all these other events that they've done. And people said, oh, the government had their hand in it. Yeah, the government has their hand in everything. Everything is a production of the government. And it's all psychological. And what comes out of this, instead of people asking the validity of it, people out there are angry if you don't believe it. Because they want to believe it. Because again, they're putting their hope in man. This should be something that people see with the courts, the trials, the charade, that they're working you so hard that they want you to believe in this man so bad by design, and then they're taking God and lumping God with him because they're targeting you, Christians, us, Christians. And those with eyes to see and ears to hear will not fall for government propaganda. I thank everybody for being here. Hope this video helps. God bless you and your families as always.